Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas Eve. We're,
Merry Christmas Eve.
we are in Buffalo with the Common Book Show. We're doing a Zoom because we can't get out of the house. There's about 3 feet of snow up against my door, and it is still snowing like an MRFer. Yes. So it's bad. It's very bad. It's been doing this for 30-something hours, and it's all over the city like this. Got friends who don't have heat, don't have electricity, don't have food. It's a mess. But here we are, Zooming. This is the Common Book Show, the Christmas Eve edition. The Blizzard of 2022 edition. We have Richard at the controls, and we have James there in his home, and Greg and I in our home, and we're just happy that we've still got heat and electricity. So I hope everyone's having a nice holiday. I know people in Buffalo, unless they got there by Thursday, nobody's doing anything. But we decided to do this, a little Christmas Eve get together for friends, and I don't have a lot on my agenda. All I can say is I've never seen anything like this, and I've lived through the blizzard of '77, so that's quite a statement. And Richard, it's just as bad out by you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bad.
And James, no improvement where you are.
I'm near the airport, so the only good news here is at least the plow has gone through.
Yeah, that's true. But okay, so I have been reading. I'm still reading my Kierkegaard, the humor of Kierkegaard. I don't know that I haven't really written anything down that I want to really share with everybody, because it's so twisted. I would have to rewrite it in order for it to be understandable. But Richard, I know you have a list. You always have a list, and we didn't do a show last week, so.
So aren't you going to do your Kierkegaard, or you want me to do something from the
No,
list?
you know what? There were a couple interesting quotes, but they're not. They sound nonsensical when you read them and the way they were written.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I would have a chance to rewrite them and read them from that. But let me see. I got my notebook down here. I usually put a little note next to it if I want to read it on the show. Oh, well, I don't know. I could give this one a shot. I thought this was interesting, Richard, because it talks about how the generation, as it ages, is always kind of looking down its nose at the new generation and the changes and the things that are happening that are new.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a doctor's appointment recently, and the doctor that I was talking to, he gave me a really interesting perspective on digital media. Like, I'm always trying to pull the kids away from it, trying to do active things like go out and go into the woods or be in nature or go to the science museum or something. But he said that that it's the way of the future, and that these kids aren't going to remember anything except that. They're going to remember, they're going to remember the things that I do with them as quaint little things that Grandma did. They're not going to remember them as relevant in a sense to their life. The media and the technology is relevant to their life. So they're going forward. That's the future. So he doesn't pull his kids away from the technology so much as try to guide them on what to look at and what to view. So I thought that was an interesting idea. Then after that, I read this, and it might be a little bit difficult to comprehend, but I'll try to read it slowly. It says, each generation has its own task and need not trouble itself unduly by being everything to previous and succeeding generations. Just as each day's trouble is sufficient for the day, so each individual in a generation has enough to do in taking care of himself and does not need to embrace the whole contemporary age with his paternal solicitude or assume that era and epoch begins with him and still less, it begins with him. So, all right. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. Or the New Year's torch of his promise, or with the intimations of his far-seeing promises, or with the referral of his reassurance to a currency doubtful in value. You know, our what we have in the past is a doubtful currency right now because it's not going into the future. Okay, not everyone who is stoop-shouldered is an atlas, nor did he become such by supporting the world. So, you know, saying that not everyone that's grown old is wise, and therefore not necessarily relevant to the new generation of thinkers. Not, he didn't say everyone, but I just like that line too. Not everyone who is stoop shoulders is an atlas, nor did he become such by supporting the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I just liked that idea, and it was kind of contemporary with this idea that this doctor had, you know, thrust upon me, and it's amazing because sometimes you hear something, and it shocks you into a new way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that he did that for me. I think he did kind of jar me into a new way of thinking, that the way I lived my life as a child and the way I've lived my life all my life won't be relevant to my grandchildren except as history. They will have their own reality. And then they too will end up like me at some point trying to influence their grandchildren to think like they did when they were growing up. By that time, you know, we will all maybe living in virtual reality.
There is one thing about the statement that your doctor made that needs clarification.
Okay.
Okay, you said you told him you were taking your grandchildren to the museum, right?
Well, that's not how it started. It started with me complaining about how much time they spend on their electronic devices.
And then he said to you, that is what they're going to remember. What does the word "that" mean?
Their technology and the things that they're doing now, their technology experiences are going to be their childhood.
So they're not going to remember you going to the museum. They're going to remember.
No, they're going to remember that, but as kind of a nostalgic thing that a grandma would do with them. That's not really relevant to their personal experience with life. You know, they're going to remember. They're going to remember those things, but in a nostalgic kind of way, like, oh, grandma used to like to take us here because she remembered going here when she was a kid. You know, although they are enjoying it. It's not that they're not enjoying the things we're doing, but it was more that something clicked in my head that I shouldn't be so concerned about how much time that they're spending with electronics, because they're going to spend their whole life with these electronics. This is going to be their life. And I can't alter that. You know, there are people...
He was not telling you, don't bother taking them to the museum.
Oh, no. He wasn't saying that.
Okay. He
was saying that I shouldn't be so negative about time they spend with technology. So basically that's what he was saying. Mm-hmm. But I found it to be a really, in fact, it was a charming way of looking at it that I hadn't thought of before.
You know, that makes sense because Blockbuster Video. We've all had experiences going there.
Yeah.
And a clerk was waiting on me at Blockbuster. And I said to her, any new releases that you can guide me to? And she said, yeah. And she showed me this one movie with, I think her name is Tio Leone.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, it's a very good movie. She said, it's very 90s. I didn't know what that meant, but it meant a lot to her.
Yeah.
Because that must have been her formative stage in her life.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's sort of like what your doctor's saying.
Yeah, that's right. That's a formative stage. The formative stage in their life is going to be completely involved in technology.
And so they will say things to one another like, oh, it's very TikTok-ish.
Yeah.
Long after TikTok is gone.
Right.
Because that will resonate with them.
Right. Reminds me of TikTok. Yeah, exactly. So
now, if you know people who are gamers,
mm-hmm.
they will often say things like, it's a lot like such and such a game used to be. And of course, that means nothing to me.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not, I know, although I remember when I was in school, when I went back to school for archaeology, we had an archaeological game that we were, it was part of a class, and we had to build this society. It was a pre-king, pre-judges, it was like a tribal society. We had to build this society. And it was really interesting, and I enjoyed that. And I think if there were games like that, where it was a true learning experience, because whenever you would make a decision, you would find out what the implications of that were. And it was interesting. I like that game, but I don't think anybody cares about that. It's more like it's fantasy. It's completely getting out of your reality into another reality, which is what, I mean, if you think about it, it's what television and movies and even reading to some extent. Although with reading, you have to actually make the pictures in your mind. So I think it's a more active way of escaping. So, it's not passive. I don't think the games are passive either, though. So I don't know. I mean, James, do you play any of those games? I know you hang out with Sal sometimes, and I know he's a big game player.
I have not been a game player at all since the days of Space Invaders, Galaga, and Galaxian. So,
well, when you were young, yeah, yeah.
I have no idea. My friends are all talking about stuff like Call of Duty and the new virtual reality games. I'm just like, I can't see the attraction to wasting my time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing the value in it. So, I mean, I got people that like them, love them. I mean, it's I just can't. It's a lot of time. I don't want all my memories to be of some alternate reality.
Very good. Very good. I like that.
I don't mind some.
I read a review about that new James Cameron movie, the one you want to see.
Oh yeah, it's not the movie I want to see. It's the experience of the movie that I'm interested in. The movie.
Wow, what a distinction!
The movies aren't very good. But the experience in 3D on the IMAX, it's like it is immersion, it's like being in a different world, and you're not controlling anything, but you get feedback, like stimulation feedback, like you're actually there. It's wild. I would not pass up seeing that movie, but I got to see it in IMAX 3D. Yes, go ahead, Richard. So it's James Cameron. You heard some feedback on that.
Yeah, it's a reviewer who I like her perspective on things. So she's I'm on her email list, and she always emails me whenever she puts out a new review. And she said this Way of the Water movie, which I think that's the name of it, right? Avatar, Way of the Water.
Yeah.
She said it's a average or below average story,
right,
put into a technology that is way above average.
Yes, it's exactly right. She just said it more eloquently.
And she was listing all the movies, all the plots that this new Cameron movie has ripped off. She said it's got a little bit of Free Willy in there. It's got a little bit of this movie, a little bit of that movie. She says it's not an original story at all.
No, and it doesn't. See, that's the thing. Because of the experience. Well, when Greg and I went to see Avatar, the first Avatar, and we saw it the last day that it was on the screen at the theater in Arizona when Greg was working at Harkins. And so we finally, because he used to get to see movies for free, except for when they were at IMAX. So we said, what the heck, let's go see it. Everybody's talking about it. Let's see what it's all about. So we went for that total immersion experience. And we were so excited because we thought that because even though this movie wasn't, the plot wasn't great, we thought that all movies were going to be like this from now on. That when you went to the movies, you were going to put on these glasses and you were going to be in that movie. And in fact, we went to see a gazillion 3D movies after that. And none of them were the same experience. We just wanted that experience again because we couldn't go back because it had already closed. So we thought movies, just like when they went from silent movies to talkies, we thought this was the next generation, and then black and white to color. We thought this was the next generation, and it hasn't happened. It's only these Avatar movies with this James Cameron, who is a technological genius, has created this. I mean, eventually, I think that when you go to the movie theater, this is how you're going to watch movies. And they're going to be good movies with good plots, and you're still going to be in the middle of them like that. But it hasn't happened yet. And maybe the technology is just too expensive, but maybe it'll get cheaper as we go along.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
We can't see you, Sal. You got to turn on your camera.
I don't look good enough for camera right now.
This is like the
you're
Jetsons.
Welcome to join us without.
You got to get one of those fake faces to put in front of your camera.
Yeah. No, I haven't shaved or anything, and I'm not looking good for camera.
Okay. All right. Well, then, welcome. We were kind of just talking about the new James Cameron movie, kind of winding that up. So, Richard, you said that you saw the first one, but you saw it at home on your television, which that's why you.
That's why I'm not interested in seeing the second one, probably.
Get it. I'm thinking about kidnapping you and bringing you to the IMAX and making you wear. Oh, would you get seasick if you watched a 3D movie?
I would, if I didn't get seasick, I would be sick thinking about what this movie is doing to my mind.
Oh, I saw the first movie in IMAX twice, once in 3D, once in IMAX, and it's a technological masterpiece.
Yeah, it's just, Richard, it's not about, it's not that your mind is, you are a mature man with a lot of really strong knowledge. It's not gonna rewire your mind to see this one thing one time with this 3D. It's an experience. It's a really interesting experience to have. But
I agree.
I look upon it as the modern version of the Land of the Lotus Eaters. You know that story?
Nope.
I've heard about. I've heard the term, but I don't remember what it's about. Go ahead.
Well, Brad,
It's from the Odyssey by Homer.
Right.
So they're coming back home, trying to get home to Ithaca, and you know how the gods are always helping out Odysseus.
Yeah.
They say when you sail by this island, there will be mermaids on the shore, and they will start calling to you.
Oh, right. Now I remember.
And you will say, we want to go to the mermaids, but you will crash your boat on the rocks. And that's their plan. You know, as Greg would tell you in that one song, and Greg, tell me the name of the song, how his naked ears were tortured by the sirens sweetly singing.
How the sirens sweetly singing, how his something was. Repeat it, Richard.
How his naked ears were tortured by the sirens sweetly singing.
Which song is that?
Do you remember who did that song, Richard?
Cream.
Oh, Cream.
Sounds vaguely familiar. I don't really.
Oh, is it from?
I don't remember. Was that Brave Ulysses?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I don't really. Cream doesn't really. I'm not very versed with them.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I would feel like I would be a person on that ship, and the movie would be the sirens saying, "Come to me, come to me," and
Richard,
I would
Richard, I would ground you. I would ground you. I would hold you back from those sirens, and I would say, "Rick, just experience it while you're here, and then I'll let you free when we get outside."
Well, you know, that is how Odysseus survived. He told his men to tie him to the mast.
Yes.
James Walker, do you plan on seeing that movie?
Yeah.
Are you going to wait till someone asks you, or are you going to go on your own?
I don't plan on seeing it.
Oh, you don't plan on? Oh.
Right.
Oh, well.
Richard's not going to see that. So,
Would you go to see it if Gene Simmons said he'd like to take you to the movie?
well, as long as he actually stayed with me for the whole movie.
I don't know. I guess it is a matter of, I happen to like new experiences. For me, a new experience is a validation of life.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you.
So, okay. So now what is on the list that you have, Richard?
The thing that was on NBC Evening News yesterday, Chat GPT. Nobody
Chad?
watches the evening news?
Chad, no, I don't. I watch like MSNBC or CNN in the morning.
It's Chat, CHAT, like you chat with somebody.
Chat. Yeah.
And then G as in girl, P as in Peter, T as in toy. Chat GPT. They could have come up with a better name. They really could.
What is it?
Okay, it's an app for your phone that's free, and you can talk to this artificial intelligence, and you can say things like, in school, we're learning about the fall of the Roman Empire. And the app will say to you, oh, do you have any questions you'd like to ask me about that? Yes. Could you tell me some of the reasons why the empire started to decline and fell apart? And then it would say, sure, here's the various areas you can ask me about. And then, you know what you say to the app? You say this to the app. Well, when you give me your answer, would you say it the way a 10th grader would say it, not a college professor? And you know why you do that? Because that's your answer to the test question. You're getting the artificial intelligence to do your homework for you.
Wow. And you don't even have to reword it or write it in your own words.
That's right. That's right. Because it's all text. The app is not talking to you. It's just typing it all out for you. So you just keep copying and pasting it, and you've got your homework assignment done.
Well, I mean, I guess if you read it, I mean, I can, if you're absorbing it, if you're like looking at what is the, but I mean, how do you know it's right?
That's true. That's true. And well, the same thing if you look it up on Google. How do you know Google is true?
Well, Google, I mean, you got to look at the website. I mean, I always, especially when I'm looking up medical information, I'm always looking at which website it's coming from, because there's all kinds of cuckoo sites out there that'll give you misinformation.
Well, then you would say to the app, could you give me your sources? And you would put that in your answer too. Say that again, Sal?
What app is this?
Chat, CHAT, and then GPT, Girl, Paul, and Tom.
Oh, wow.
So it's, the question is this a bad thing or a good thing? People are saying that the artificial intelligence in this app is so sophisticated that it could mean the end of Google, because it would be like Googling a question, but then when Google gives you the answers, you start having a dialogue with whatever site you go to.
But, I mean, we would have to be sure that the information that, because if this chat thing is getting information from the web, they could be getting corrupt information as well. I mean, how does this thing know to go to only well-documented sites like Harvard or, you know, something like that?
That's why you would say, what are your sources?
Right. Okay. So, I mean, I could see it being helpful, especially.
Oh, I mean, there's other things you can use it for. You can put this in there. I'm thinking about making a movie about Charles Manson and hell. If you were to write a screenplay about it, what would it say? And it'll write out a screenplay for you. You could say to it, I have to go to court, all right, because my wife and I are having custody problems. And this is the problem why I don't think she should get more custody than me. Would you write a legal brief for me? Interesting, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, where can I get this app?
Sales all in.
So you just go to the App Store and type in Chat GPT.
Did it say anything about this app not being wholesome for your device?
What do you mean? Like it could corrupt your phone or something?
Right.
No, it didn't say anything about that at all. But I'll tell you something. People are going to this app and downloading it in droves. It's had the most people signing up for an app in the history of apps.
Wow.
Does it cost anything?
No, that's why people are signing up for it.
Well, the other thing is I'm really curious about that one we talked about several weeks ago about the art.
It's very similar. Yeah, it's the same people. It's the same people who put out that art. The Dali. Yeah, Dali too. It's the same people.
Because I've thought about that several times when I've had like interesting dreams that I have a couple different things I could put into that engine and say, what would this look like? You know. Mm-hmm. I really should I mean, not that I have so much time on my hands, but it is something I'm curious about. But this one sounds really interesting too. Who are these people that are such
You wouldn't
geniuses?
believe who it was founded by. This software genius from Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah.
Sam Altman
Okay.
I've heard that name.
and Elon Musk.
I know I've heard that name.
Wow.
Interesting,
that
huh?
leads me to believe that there's something about that I don't want on my phone.
Reporters are going to this website and saying, "Here's the story that I wrote, for example, on the blizzard. How would
Yeah.
you write it?" Interesting, huh?
Yeah, that is interesting because, I mean, everybody has their own take on things, and I'd hate to see everything homogenized like that by being put through an app, an artificial intelligence app. It sounds kind of creepy to tell
And
you
then
the truth.
it's also something that you brought up on a previous show. A student could say, "I've got an assignment. Write a poem about a snow for my English class, about the snowstorm. Would you
Yeah.
write it for me?" It'll write a poem for you.
Well, I mean, if the creative people will find a creative way to use this software, and people who just want to use it to be lazy will find a way too. You know, it's a tool. It's a tool. It's like a pen. You know, you could use a pen to write up a shopping list, or you could use a pen to write the great American novel. It's the same as that, except I'd hate to see everything homogenized because that would really take the fun out of reading, really.
Richard, does it go on the computer or just on the phone?
I don't know, Sal. I don't know.
Okay.
Now, it has this very sophisticated software in it called GP3 3.5. And that's like a combination of a dialogue app that will challenge you if you tell it something false. So if you said to this app, "Could you tell me why so-and-so is trying to take over the world?" The app would say back to you, "Well, I don't think your assumption is true." Like, this app will disagree with you if you try to bullshit it. You know what I mean?
Uh-oh, it's Skynet.
Yeah, we saw, what was the superintelligence?
Super intelligent.
We saw this really kind of quirky comedy the other night called Superintelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about a artificial intelligence that was trying to figure out human beings and whether or not it would save the world,
Mm-hmm.
it would destroy the world, or what was the other thing? Or there was a third thing, but it was either it was going to save the world, it was going to solve global warming and all this stuff,
Yeah.
or if it thought that human beings weren't worth it, it was going to destroy the world.
Mm.
Okay, and it was funny and it was interesting, and it did make you think, because actually the artificial intelligence had the voice of James Corden. So
Where'd you see this film?
we took it from the library.
Okay.
Is this a recent movie?
2022, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you recommend it?
Called Superintelligence?
Well, it's a comedy though, Richard. It's Melissa McCarthy and James Corden, and who's the other guy?
Bobby Carnaval.
Bobby Carnavelli.
Mm-hmm. And do you recommend it?
I recommend it. It's light entertainment. It's not it's It's not a super serious documentary film.
Hmm.
But,
Anything with Melissa McCarthy in it is good.
yeah,
Okay.
but I thought it was, I thought it had moments of brilliance and then, moments of total silliness. And it talked a lot about human relationships, between what motivates people to stay in relationships and to leave relationships. And that was kind of interesting too.
Hmm.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I'd say it's a good time killer. And I hate to use the word time killing, but it's also got some substance.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. So what does everybody think about the new Trump trading cards?
James, what do you think?
It's really fun for people who like that stuff. I don't really have any great opinions on it.
Well, they're just gifts. I think that's what they call them, right? They're not actual physical cards.
It's getting in on that NFT thing.
And yeah.
Yeah, so it's essentially a Trump NFT without calling it that. So it's a way to raise money for the Trump campaign while being cool and edgy. And
Yeah. Do you think it's cool and edgy? I don't think it's. I thought they were. I thought it was embarrassing, and I don't know how the rest of the Republican Party feels about seeing Trump in a Superman outfit and riding a horse. And I mean, they were silly. I don't.
I agree. The whole thing was ridiculous.
but are you aware of what these are?
What?
An NFT.
Yeah, I know what an NFT is basically, but
Okay.
but they also, all these NFTs just lost all their value recently, and it's like he's getting in at the tail end of a kind of a scammy thing to begin with.
Right.
What's an NFT? Remind me, what's an NFT?
Paula?
It is a digital image that you own. And the thing about this is I don't understand how more than one person can own the same digital image, and how that's different from just doing a right click and saving it to your computer. I think that was the problem with all NFTs, is that you're owning this digital image, but you can't control the use of it really, because it's on the internet.
Well,
Is there something-
they're using them as tokens. So each digital image, it's more, the ownership is more in the information that you get when you right click on a photo to get its now I can't remember what it's called, but you get the information on a photo.
Yeah.
If you right click, well, that information is actually unique.
It's
So
encrypted somehow, like Bitcoin,
yes, and that's
which I don't
basically what they're
understand either. Yeah.
you can trade your image to somebody else.
Oh, you know what? Somebody is trying to reach me. Hold on a second.
So basically, it's internet images taking the physical tokens.
Good explanation.
All right.
It is?
Do you understand
Okay,
that,
I'm
Sal?
back.
Not in the slightest.
Well, let's
All
put
right.
it this
Hang
way.
on. Tony was trying to. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I'll put it to you this
All right.
way, Sal.
Yes?
Suppose
All right. I can't.
I got
get
a
the-
real good
I can't get the
photocopy
picture
machine,
Back.
and I made a
There we
copy
go.
of both sides of a dollar bill, and I handed
All
it
right.
to you. Would you be able to know if that's a real dollar or a fake dollar?
All right. I don't know.
I don't know.
In other words,
See,
You would
this is what
say-
happens with my phone.
you would take it to somebody and you would say, "Is this a real dollar bill or is somebody trying to con me?"
Right?
And they would maybe look at it through a magnifying glass and something like that, and they would say, "No, if somebody's trying to con you, they made this thing on a photocopy machine." Well, suppose I sent you a image on Facebook Messenger,
Mm-hmm.
and I said to you, "Sal, this is the only copy of that image in existence. I didn't copy it from anywhere else." How could you believe me? You couldn't, right?
Right.
Because you can't tell a copy from a copy.
Right.
Well, what an NFT is, it's a kind of copy that has a code built into it that can't be duplicated.
I see.
So it's like almost like a digital seal of authenticity.
And serial
And what?
number.
Oh, serial number, he said.
Okay.
Because like the reason why you can't photocopy dollar bills, even if you have the right paper, the right inks, and a perfect copier, is
Yeah.
because you would a bunch of copies with the same serial number.
Yes. So you would have to make copies with different serial numbers, and that would be crazy.
Right.
And I would imagine the serial numbers are all recorded somewhere, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Interesting. Well, to answer Paula's question.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Were you talking to us? Yeah, we can hear you.
I guess Tony can't hear her.
And, no, I tried to, my phone was trying to, my phone was trying to answer Tony's call, but, oh no, now it's gone again. Son of a bitch.
Does Tony want to join us in the Zoom room?
He doesn't know how. He doesn't have Zoom on his phone, and now I can't get this back again. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, thanks to the government, everyone has Zoom on their phone, whether they want to or
Okay,
not.
I'm back. Okay, but I'm back, but I'm not hearing. I'm only hearing you very, very. All right. So, Richard, are you there, Richard?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. I don't know what, I mean, I tried to pick, I couldn't pick up the call, but then I couldn't get back onto the, I guess I'm supposed to make, oh, there we go. There we are. Okay, we're better now. That was, my phone is old and they want me to buy a new one, but I'm not going to do it. So I think how long have we had these phones? 4 years?
That sounds right.
I've had my phone for 4 years and I know it's old and I'm not getting a new one because they're expensive. So
So
I just,
should I show everybody what these images of Trump are?
sure, that'd be fun.
Okay, let's see if this works.
See, I don't know why it's so, the volume is so low.
Okay, so here he is, like as Iron Man, correct? Here he is.
No, actually, that's not Iron Man.
No, it's like Superman or something.
And then
No,
here he is.
actually-
He's an astronaut here. He's a
Yes,
race
they
car
have-
driver. I don't know, somebody standing on the moon,
Astronaut. Oh gosh.
and somebody holding a wrestling belt. That's one of the ones James Walker would buy.
Yep.
When he first won, I had a picture of him with the United States Championship on his shoulder.
And James used to live with the Unified Champion.
You lived
not-
with the Unified Wrestling Champion?
Not quite.
Explain.
That was a
I
private
can-
joke, sorry.
Richard, I don't know if there's any way for me to do this, but I can barely hear everyone.
You mean something changed in your settings?
Yeah, something changed since I got the call from Tony. So
Try
Should I
raising the volume on your phone.
I did. I tried
Oh.
raising the volume. It didn't work. It was all the way up.
Oh,
It's very, very faint. I don't know. Should
you want to go out and come back in again?
Yeah, let me try that.
Yeah, I'll just let you back in.
All right.
So, Sal, you're joining the show, but your image is not being seen. All right? You still there, Sal?
Yeah,
What are you, far away from the phone now?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Well, I guess that leaves you and me, Richard.
Yep.
So, do you not? Okay, let me just say, what is your thought on the final disposition for the herd depth situation that I explained to you earlier?
Okay, well, I was giving that some thought today, and here's what I came up with. Did the original point of the lawsuit was Amber was going on talk shows, and she was saying that the reason that she either broke up or got divorced, probably got divorced, was because Johnny was abusive toward her. And the purpose of this lawsuit was Johnny Depp telling her, you can't go around saying that because I contend that it's not true. You follow me so far, James?
Yes, however, just to massage that a bit, when they got divorced, they got language in their divorce decree that said they could not disparage each other in any way after the divorce.
That was in the
And-
divorce decree.
I was in the divorce decree.
I'm back.
Oh, good. I can hear you.
She was
That's
paid
great.
in the divorce. And so when she went on and made these disparaging remarks, she did so in such a way that she did not say Johnny's name, but everybody knew that's the only person she could be talking about.
Wow. Okay, thank you. You know what we're talking about, Paula?
Something about that.
Johnny
Johnny
Depp, Amber
Depp.
Heard thing?
Yeah. Okay.
When they
didn't-
when they got divorced, it was included in the divorce. Each party is not allowed to go to the media and say anything disparaging about the other person.
Okay.
And they signed that agreement as part of the divorce. But
All
you know
right.
what Amber did? She went on talk shows and she would say, I'm not going to mention any names, but I was once in a relationship with this creep who did A, B, C, and D.
Oh, yeah. That's not really holding up the
Well,
bargain.
she technically didn't name him.
Right.
Well, here's where it gets more outrageous, okay? She says, as a victim of marital domestic violence,
Isn't this the woman that pooped in the bed?
that's the one. Yeah.
I don't think she has any right to claim anything. She's there's something wrong with her. I mean,
Let me just, Richard, because this frames the situation. She's been married twice, once to a woman and once to Johnny Depp. Now, when she says, as a marital victim of domestic violence, it has to be Johnny that she's talking about because she was the one who was arrested for perpetrating domestic violence against her female wife before they got divorced.
yeah. Well, no, of course she was talking about Johnny Depp. I mean, it's obvious she was talking about Johnny Depp. I'm surprised that anybody questions that she was talking about Johnny Depp. I mean, honestly, I think they're both a little nuts, but I think she's nutser. So,
The thing that Richard and I were discussing was, okay, so Johnny has spent 6 years, $6 million just trying to get his name back
right.
because it's obviously tied through her ass. But the final disposition from the courts was that Amber owed Johnny $8,300,000, which of course he does not have.
Right. So it's moot.
Well, no, it's not moot because she was going to appeal the decision and get third trial. And Johnny, Amber, and more importantly, her insurance company met and hammered out a settlement. And in the settlement, Johnny is going to get $1 million. He's owed $8,300,000. He is settling for $1 million. Amber will not appeal the decision, and everybody can go home. But what I was saying to Richard is, I think this is bullshit.
I agree.
Because Amber didn't pay for her legal defense. She fobbed that off on her insurance company. And now the insurance company is settling with Johnny so that the insurance company will pay him $1 million so that they don't have to pay for another trial.
But don't you think he just wants to be done with this and get her off his back? I mean, if it were me at this point, I'd say just go away.
Well, there is that, but my point is, she is getting off technically scot-free. She is paying zero. She didn't pay any of the lawyer's fees, and she's not paying the $1 million settlement fee
Right,
either.
but that's what rich people do because they have money to pay for insurance for things like this. You know, I mean, rich people don't have to, you know, a lot of the people that we see all the time in the media, they don't even buy their own clothes. Those clothes are gifted to them so that they can be seen wearing them.
That's right.
You know,
I'm just saying, for me, I would have put community service as a part of this settlement. She's got to put something in my opinion.
I'd like to see that. That would be great.
I would like to see that too.
I would have her doling out soup at the soup kitchen once a month.
Yeah, I would like that. I think that would do her good, actually.
Sir James, do you think that it's severely damaged Johnny's reputation as an actor? You think he's going to have trouble getting work now?
Oh, no. Johnny actually is the winner in this because, he lost $15 million in lost work. Disney kicked him off of Pirates and also dumped him on Fantastic Beasts. Fandom said, we don't want anything to do with Pirates without Johnny. And Disney got completely slaughtered when Fantastic Beasts came out because had they kept Johnny in the movie, it would have premiered during the first week of the trial. And they would have had a $200 million opening week. Instead, it flopped.
So are they taking him back for Pirates?
They are begging him to come back for
Oh,
Pirates.
good. So that's good.
But so far is saying you can't pay me to come back for
Oh yeah,
Pirates.
and I hope he fares well in this. You know, I hope he gets some other roles that he can. He's a good actor. He's an excellent actor. You know, I'm not a big Pirates of whatever it is fan, but he's a good actor.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Thank you.
Well,
his point is they dumped him over an allegation and they fought to keep Amber even though there was evidence against her.
yeah. Well, I mean, that happens. But I want to get off of this topic and onto something, a little more heady. Richard, you got something?
Sure. You want something that's seasonal?
Sure. Deck the halls.
Okay, this is what I wrote down yesterday from an essay that I was reading.
Okay.
There's a darker side to gift giving.
Okay.
That is when it's used as a means for exercising power over another person. We are expected to be appreciative of gifts, regardless of whether or not they're wanted or they're thoughtful.
Right.
For example, a gift from an abusive spouse or parent can be a means of disarming the abused child or manipulating them into continued submission. Sometimes gift giving can easily turn into a competition to see who can give the best or the most expensive gift.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all of that is true. And as far as that abusive parent thing, every time my stepfather would beat me up or verbally abuse me, my mother would buy me something afterwards.
Wow.
That's how I got my sewing.
So the gift.
That's how I got my first sewing machine.
So that in that instance you're describing, the gift was a way of communicating to you, forget about that other stuff and be happy with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
I'm
But
sorry
you know
that
what?
happened, Paula.
Do you know what? That we were. What was that thing? Oh, it was a comedian that the women don't owe you anything. Oh, that Ronnie Chang. The new Ronnie Chang special. He made a really interesting point. He said that it really changed his life and his understanding of women when he realized that no matter what men are always trying to kind of buy the attention of women. But he said, if you buy a woman dinner, she does not owe you sex. She doesn't owe you anything for anything you give her. She owes you nothing. It's a gift.
Right.
And so that kind of, that reminded me of a date I went on when I was doing the online dating. And I was talking to someone, I said, why don't we meet for coffee? And he said, no, I want to take you to dinner. So I said, that's not necessary. I said, I'd like to meet you first. And he said, no, I'll buy you dinner. So I went with him for dinner. I parked my car behind a bar on William Street, and I met him there, so he wouldn't know where I lived. And I went to dinner with him, and he was very non-communicative. He harumphed. Every time I tried to start a conversation, he'd make a noise like I was bothering him while he was eating. He was very, he just didn't have any personality. When we were talking on the phone, he at least had stuff to say, but when we were having dinner together, he was very morose, and I can't even explain it. It was like he was trying to put his worst foot forward, I think. And so we left the restaurant. I said, and we went to the bar where I parked my car, and he said, let's get one drink before you go home. So I said, I'm really wanting to go home. And he says, no, I want to buy you a drink. So we went in the bar, and he bought me a drink, and same thing. He's not talking to me. He's kind of, his body language is really gruff. He's got his arms folded. He's miserable. And so at some point I finished my drink, and I looked at him and I say, I'm going to go home now. It was nice meeting you. I don't know what else to say.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me and he said, what? No sex?
Wow. Kind of a crude guy.
I said, what on earth led you to believe that? What about our experience at the restaurant or now at the bar would lead you to believe that we had developed any kind of intimate communication between us where I would go home with you and have sex. And he says, I bought you dinner. And I said, but I only wanted to go for coffee. And I said, and I would have paid for it. You know? And he was really angry. And I was just glad that he didn't know where I lived.
All right,
So-
which online dating service was this?
I was doing that was back when you could still read something about the person. You didn't have to just swipe. This was, I wasn't aware that all of them are like that now. James is the one that filled me in with that. But it was Match.com, probably.
Oh, that one. Okay.
So it was pretty awful, you know, and that was an example of that. You know, he thought because he bought me dinner, I owed him sex. And I'm thinking there's prostitutes for that, buddy. You know.
They're more expensive.
Oh, they're cheaper than dinner at some places.
Well, that's true. That's true, James. Depends where you go. It depends what you want.
Oh, buddy.
So yeah, so that I love that thing about gifts because I feel like there is it's even with my grandkids, I buy them too much, and I know I do, and I'm not competing for their affection, but I don't want them to be disappointed because I know that they're getting all this stuff from other people as well.
Is there ever a situation where, with the grandchildren, people look at what the other gifts that were given to the grandchildren were and evaluated who gave the best gift?
I'm sure that, well, you know what? The kids told me that they like my gifts because I buy what's on their list. Because I think the other grandparents kind of buy things ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always buying things the last minute. So I always get to see their list before I make my purchases. And I don't know. I always feel deflated when I go there with the gifts because I always feel like I know I bought too much. I know I spent too much money. I know this isn't good for them, but I also know it's Christmas and they won't be kids forever, you know? And I also teach them value in other ways, you know? I take them to thrift stores. I talk about the difference between, you know, fashion is something that's imposed upon you. Style is something you choose for yourself. You know, it's not really sinking in yet, but maybe it will. They're young.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I try to teach them the value of other things.
Well, you know why my brother Peter and I stopped doing gifts? Because
Why?
He said that he always made more money than me up until recently, and he said he would give me extravagant gifts like a camera or a tablet, and I would only give him something from the dollar store because I never had a lot of money because I've never been good with money. And
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so why don't we just forget about it then, Peter?
Well, you know what, though? There's another way of looking at that, Sal. My
What?
cousin Kathy and I love my cousin Kathy like a sister. And every year we say the same thing. Say, I love you too much to put the pressure on you to buy me a gift. You know? So we don't exchange gifts for birthdays, for Christmas, nothing. We just remember each other on the day, and we don't need anything. You know, we spend time together. We're planning on, you know, after Christmas, we're planning on going to this little restaurant in Niagara Falls together. We met when we went to a concert over the summer. We met this kid who owns this restaurant, and I wanted to. He has falafel, and I wanted to try it ever since then, and I haven't gone yet. So,
What's the name of the restaurant?
do you remember the name of the restaurant?
No chance.
Yeah, it was the name. It's God. Oh, his grandmother's name is Gada. I think it's, or that, maybe that's the name of grandma and the language where he's from. And it's called Gotta Have It, which I thought was really cute.
Well, you have to say
You know.
goodbye to the people, Paula.
Oh, goodbye, people. This was Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah. It's Hanukkah today, too.
Yeah. Happy Yule.
And I hope everyone has a safe digging out of the snowstorm.